Today in this video, I'm going to be doing my most anticipated books for 2019 and rereads, because I didn't want to make a separate video of books that I plan on reading in 2019, whether they're anticipated or rereads. So I'm going to dive into the rereads first, and then I'll get into the anticipated books. The first book that I have for my reread for 2019 is a series Unfortunate Events. I do have the entire collections. I don't know if you can see, it's on my third shelf. I have the entire collections. The second season for it just came out on Netflix. I didn't want to continue to watch because I couldn't really remember, so I want to reread it first before I dive back in. And debate me down in the comments if you think the Jim Carrey or the Neil Patrick is better, because I'm still trying to pick which one I like more. So yeah, plan on rereading this for 2019. The next book that I have is The Uglies by Scott Westerfeld, and I have the entire collections, as you can see right here. I do plan on rereading this. I read this in middle school. I can't remember anything about it except for the fact that it's basically a society about people that are ugly and pretty, and they're put into different categories. They have different jobs, and I believe a female and a male try to escape this society because they believe that something's wrong, or they realize that something's not right, as every dystopia is. So yes, plan on rereading. Alright, and the next book that I have for this reread is Blue is for Nightmare. I read this in high school, I want to say my freshman year, and this book is basically about a girl named Stacy who goes to boarding school. Basically that girl that's not like smart, she's not really pretty, you know, obviously she's kind of just like the background character, and she ends up having like these nightmares where it starts to turn into real life. So it's kind of like magic, but it's not really magic. It's a very interesting story. I can't really remember, but I do remember really enjoying it. I have the complete series on my shelf. I highly recommend this. Like, it is such a good series. Like, even though I don't remember it, I remember it being really good, which is why I held on to it, even though I hold on to books regardless if they're good or not. But yes, the next book that I have is Middle Grade, and it is The Midnight for Charlie Bone by Jenny Nimmo. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, this is the Children of the Red King series. This is basically about he can read thoughts when people take photographs, and he basically realizes that he has this power. That's basically it. Like, there's 8 books in this series. I don't have all 8, but I do plan on collecting them on the way. So obviously if I read all these books, I will be able to buy them. And the next book that I have for this reread for 2019 is a House of Night novel, a series basically. This one's marked, but the series is called A House of Night, and it's by PC and Kristen Cass, I believe mother and daughter. And this is basically about vampires. I love vampires. Obviously I read this back after like Twilight had just come out, but I read this my sophomore year of high school. My stepmom bought it for me off of a whim, and I loved it. Loved it. It's basically about a girl and a group of friends where basically she was going to a normal high school, and then she started changing, and then someone came after her and told her, like, you're a vampire. So she got sent to another school, and basically she's special, essentially. Like, and the series dives into her trying to change the school and show that there's dark things going on that shouldn't be going on, while she's trying to relearn about her, I want to say her grandma. Yeah, her grandma. And all throughout it, I want to say that her parents don't know that she's a vampire or something like that. Like, yeah, I just remember really enjoying this. I don't know if it's going to stand the test of time, but I really enjoyed it. I'm also very simple, so I hardly don't like a book. So, I'm pretty sure I'm still going to enjoy it. I love vampires. And yeah. And the last and my most anticipated reread is Red Rising. I absolutely love Red Rising. I read this last year. Oh, and it's by Pierce Brown, if you didn't know. Basically, the society is set up in different colors, and the colors represent like how high you are on the spectrum, essentially. Like, so red's the lowest, gold is obviously the highest, and the next book is coming out, so I plan on rereading this. I will probably start in February to reread. I plan on rereading Red Rising. It's about Darrow, who basically, his wife gets hung and killed, so then he wants to kill himself, but then society ends up saving him and basically are like, nah bruh, we need you to do this for us, and I'm not gonna spoil it for you. You need to read this. Like, I'm still waiting from Brittany by Brittany Bibliopho or something like that. I think that's her channel. I'll link it down in the box, down in the description. But she read this and she loved it, and I just want to like hound her and be like, finish reading. So yes, please, when I reread this, y'all need to reread it. And I'm telling you, in February, I'm probably going to reread the entire series. I will probably make a vlog about it. If not, like, this is going to be a big deal on my channel because I love Red Rising. Y'all need to read it. Y'all need to pick it up, put it on your TBRs. I don't care what you do. Read it. Now the next book that I'm going to be talking about are my most anticipated books for 2019. And the first two books I'm going to talk about don't have a release date, but they're supposed to be coming out in 2019. Hopefully. The first one that I have is The Last Book Party. Sorry, I'm just looking down, up and down. And that is by Karen Dukess. And this, okay. So this book is basically about a woman named, what's her name? Eve. And this is based in 1987. Eve basically goes to or she works for a company and ends up going to like an authoring or publishing party, and she discovers like all these different things that she didn't know about the publication world. I don't know, it seemed really interesting. I can't remember who talked about it in one of their most anticipated, but I really thought it was interesting, so I put it on my anticipated. The next book that I have is The Winds of Winter, and this is the last book of the Game of Thrones series. Obviously, I haven't read the Game of Thrones because that was in my last video, but I can't wait to get it so that I can add it to my collection. I know I'm going to enjoy it because I enjoyed the show. The next book on my most anticipated list is the second book to Dread Nation. Now, I haven't read Dread Nation. It's right here on my shelf somewhere, but I do plan on reading it. I've heard nothing but great things about it. I know that it's going to be a great book. I know I'm going to love it. So the next book, now these are going to go in order since they actually have release dates, and this one comes out January 8th, 2019, and that is Black Enough, Stories of Being Young and Black in America by E.B. Zoboi? Oh, it's Zoboi. Sorry, I'm like all jacked up. But yes, and obviously, as it says in the title, short stories about being young and Black in America. Alright, the next book that I have comes out January 15th, and it is Let's Go Swimming on Doomsday by Natalie C. Anderson. And this book is probably not my most anticipated, but super anticipated. And it's basically about a boy named Abdi. His family gets kidnapped, and basically it's an ultimatum where he basically has to be turn into a child slave for the jihad, and he has to basically spy on the militia and things like that and report back. And the thing that like really caught my attention for it is the fact that like his brother believes in it, so he has to like undermine his brother while like spying and things like that without getting caught. The next book that I have that I'm pretty sure everyone has on their list is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas, and this is supposed to be coming out February 5th. This is a book about the greatest rappers of all time, essentially. Like, why would you not want to read it? Alright, the next book that comes out February 26th is We Set the Dark on Fire, and this is by Tehlor K. Mejia. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Oh, this is another girl turned spy. This is like another thing. I think I have a thing going on of people spying and going undercover. That's essentially what this book is also about. The next book that I have comes out March 5th, and that is Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. And I just read Children of Blood and Bone like 3 weeks ago. Gave it 5 stars. I do plan on like getting this book and reading it, and I can't wait. The next book that I have comes out March 12th, and this is by Justin Reynolds, and it is Opposite of Always. This book is basically about 2 people named Jack and Kate. They meet at a party and they instantly fall in love. And the story is like, you would think like everything's great, they're falling in love, but Kate ends up dying. And the story should end there when Kate dies, but it doesn't. And it takes Jack basically back to the beginning of Kate, and he is like working from start to last to when he finally met her. And it just seemed like a completely interesting story. I'm sure I found this on somebody else's most anticipated, because I didn't really have an anticipated list, and then I just started watching everybody else, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, gonna put it on. But this one like really caught my attention, and I do plan on picking this up. So. Okay, the next book that I have comes out April 2nd, and it is Descendants of the Crane by Joan. And this book is Chinese inspired. It's a fantasy story. This is a debut novel, and it is basically about a girl whose father is the king of the kingdom, and he dies, and she has to take over basically the throne. And he doesn't die, he gets murdered. So she wants to find out who murdered her father, and she gets the help by someone called a soothsayer, and this is a treasonous act. I'm saying that right? Yeah. Punishable by death, and that's because magic is banned. So it has some magic in there, and I'm super excited to read this. I'm excited to read all the books that I'm anticipating. But yeah, it just sounded like a super interesting story. I'm trying to get more into like Asian inspired stories, or just like anything that isn't white based. I'm like tired of reading about European, so I want to read other different types of stories. Alright, the next book that I have comes out May 7th, and that is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I think I'm saying that right. And this book is based about a girl named Imani Santiago who has a daughter and a grandmother, and basically is struggling, and she still wants to meet her dreams of being a chef and working in a real kitchen one day. And it just follows the story of her. That's kind of like all I know about it from what I've read. Alright, the next book that I have comes out May 7th, and that is Middlegame by Shannon McGuire. And this book is basically about 2 twins named Dodge and Roger. And they're basically not human, but they're not gods, but they're like a little bit in between. And it's basically about the person that created them. Yeah. Yes, someone created them. So, and he wants to like attain their power. And that's kind of like all that I got from it. The next book that I have comes out May 14th, and that is We Hunt the Flame by Hafsah. Oh, I'm not going to try to say this name. It's going to be here, and it's going to be in the description box. But this book, I'm just going to read it because this just sounds so fucking interesting. It says, people lived because she killed. People died because he lived. Zafara is, I think I'm saying that right. Zafara is the hunter. Disguising herself as a man, which she brazes the cursed forest of the Azar. Don't quote me on these words. To feed her people. Nasser is the Prince of Death, assassinating those foolish enough to defy his acrobatic father, the king. If Zafara was exposed as a girl, all of her achievements would be rejected. If Nasser displayed his compassion, his father would punish him in the most brutal ways. Both are legends in the kingdom of Arwaya, but neither want to be. And the last, and my most anticipated, like, I only made this video for this book, and that is The Dark Age by Pierce Brown, and it's the 5th book in the Red Rising Trilogy. I'm not gonna tell you about what it's about, obviously, because it's the 5th book and I would spoil everything, but you already got the description of what Red Rising was in the beginning of the video for the reread. But yes, this comes out July 9th. First off, I was super bummed because he pushed the date back. It was supposed to come out sometime in February. Like, I had pre-ordered this book and everything. It's supposed to come out in February, and then he came out and was like, oh, well, the book's not done and I don't want to, which I respect, 100% respect. But basically the book wasn't done the way that he wanted to be done, and he didn't want to rush the ending, so he pushed the date back. So now it's coming out July 9th, so that means y'all got time to read the Red Rising Trilogy. So I want to hear no excuses about when Dark Age comes out and y'all like, oh, I can't read it because I haven't read Red Rising. You got time. You got a whole 7 months. Yeah, you have 7 months. I can't count, but you have 7 months to read Red Rising. You can read it with me. I'm probably going to do like a readathon. Not really, but I'm basically going to do like a read along up until July, which is why I said I'm starting in February. So I do plan on rereading it. Okay, that's all that I have for you guys today in this video. Like I said, I will link all the books, because I know this is going to be a pretty long video, but I'll link all the books down in the description. One of the books that I plan on rereading, and the books that I plan on anticipating for 2019. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, like the video, share it, I don't know, do whatever. If you didn't like this video, I'm sorry, but there ain't nothing I can do about that. So Alone is basically about, how many times can I say basically? Basically, oh my god.